Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am once again Ted the Speed Learner, and we're going to continue my video series on elementary mathematics with a simple addition problem. Now you would think, gee, it's a simple addition problem, right? Not quite. This is going into 3rd grade Common Core mathematics. And the first thing we want to do is we're going to add together the numbers 53 and 78. Now you would think that'd be really simple, right? No. No, they have 3 different methods for you to do this. And the first one is called decompose. Now before any of you start digging into your homework or making some obscure reference to a 1980s cartoon series, let's just go ahead and do this, okay? Now, the word decompose is not as morbid as you'd like to think. As a matter of fact, it actually goes back to Latin. Okay, we're going to talk about Latin etymology here. Okay, now I'm going to take you as far as French etymology, and then you can take it from French back to Latin because it all comes back from Latin. All right. Now, the word decompose is comprised of 3 parts. Okay. The first part is D-E, which means opposite. The second part is the word com, and com means with. And if you want to talk about the poser, okay, poser, P-O-S-E-R, that one means to place. So if we combine the prefix com with the French Latin / word poser, if you put that together, which actually gives you the word composer at this point, you would have something to place with or to place together. Okay? Now, if you add the word D to all of this, well, the prefix D, not the word, but the prefix D, if you add that to that, it's the opposite of putting things together. Now, the opposite of putting things together is to take them apart. Hence the word decompose. So, you can decompose a building. You can decompose a jigsaw puzzle. And I'm sure if you go into the more morbid way of thinking about it, you can decompose other things too. But let's skip that part. I know that's a little morbid, so let's skip that part. Okay. Now, if you're going to decompose these 2 numbers, you have to break them apart. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to break this apart into 50 and 3 and 70 and 8. That's how you're going to break them apart. Now then, I would say that doing this is a little bit easier than trying to do it the original way that we did it when we were in school. Okay, and I'll illustrate that in a minute. But anyway, what is the sum of 50 and 70? If you add 50 and 70 together, what are you going to get? Well, what you're going to get is 120. So far, we add these 2, we get Now, here's the kick. We're not done with this math problem. We actually have to add these 2 right here. Well, 8 plus 3 is 11. Now, what is the total of 120 and 11? Well, we add those together, and we get 131. And that's not too bad. Now, I know what you're going to say. Well, aren't you a data processor and you're supposed to draw your little extra squigglies on your ones because of how they originally formed years and years and years ago? Well, the answer is yes, I really should. And the reason for that is that back when I was a data processor years and years ago, the number 1 here was often confused with the letter L. And so if you drew it this way, then people would not confuse the number 1 with the lowercase l. So yeah, you're absolutely right. We should draw it like this. And I can do this real quick, like this. So now we can't confuse the number 1 with the letter L. Okay. Now then, we go from something that Well, I'll honestly say is a pretty decent way of doing mathematics. I don't say this is the perfect way, but yeah, splitting it up like this is not that terribly difficult and can be quite resourceful, actually. So I really don't have a problem with this. A little bit, but not really bad. This isn't too bad. But they got two other ways you can do this math problem, and this is obscure. Really obscure. This is when they start introducing you to number sets. Now, if you know anything about number sets, you should also know that the rest of this is going to come from number theory. Why are we teaching third graders number theory? I think that's just ridiculous. That should be saved for at least the 8th grade, if not a freshman year in high school. No need for kids to learn number theory. It's not that they couldn't learn it, it's just the dumb ways they're trying to teach it. Well, let's go back to 53 and 78. Now, how are we going to add this? Well, we're going to do something called splitting. Now, what we can do is, again, we have 50 and 3. This looks good so far, right? No? Now they want you to do something like this. And like that. Now they want you to do something like this. Now, why would they want you to do something like this? Because they're wanting you to count in increments of 25. Okay? So, when you count in increments of 25, 25, 50, and I'll go ahead and write it down. Okay, now we've reached our first one here. Now we're going to count an additional 75. Okay? Okay, so we now know that adding 50 and 75 together is going to give us 125. I know that kind of looks like a 6, but really it's a 5. Okay? I'll even redraw it for you just so you don't get confused here. Sometimes my writing is actually kind of sloppy, so there you go. Anyway, so 25, 50, 75, 100, 125. Because we're counting in units of 25. Okay? It's sort of like if you were to place 25 marbles in each sack. Just imagine some kind of an assembly line, and you're placing 25 marbles in each sack. Okay? So now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 5 sacks of marbles, and each sack contains 25 marbles apiece. But actually, 125 is not the answer we're looking for. We have to place 6 more marbles in the last sack in order to get the right answer, because 3 plus 3 is 6. So 125 plus 6 is 125 plus 6 is 131. Now again, like I say, this is going into number theory. That's stupid. It would take far too long to do this. And I just absolutely disagree with it. But if you think this is bad, wait. It gets better. Now, let's do this math problem one more time. Now we're going to do something called jumps of 10. Now this jumps of 10 refers back to René Descartes. Now I have actually covered René Descartes in in a previous video series. And I'm not even finished with that particular coverage. Okay? And his name is Descartes. Okay? René Descartes. And I have actually covered his material on my YouTube channel. You can look up the name, you can look up my name, and you'll find it. But he's the guy that he's the guy who created the Cartesian coordinate system. Yep. René Descartes created the Cartesian coordinate system with the x and y axis. Now, we're not going to draw a y-axis here. We're just going to draw an x-axis. Okay? Now, we're going to start with 53. Okay? Now then, we're going to do 7 jumps of 10. Why? Because of this right here. The 7 right here. We're going to do 7 jumps of 10. So now we go from 53 to 63, to 73, to 83, to 93, to 103, to 113, to 123. Okay? So here we go, the jumps of 10. We've made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 7 jumps of 10 right across here. But as we all know, this is not the answer we're looking for. Okay, we're getting closer to it, but that's not the answer we're looking for. Now we have to add 8 to 123. Well, 8 plus 3 is 11, and then of course you carry the 1, and 2 plus 1 is 3, and therefore you get 131, which is the answer we're looking for. Now, can you imagine somebody standing there, taking up a pencil and paper and drawing out this number line, trying to figure out the right answer? You talk about lengthy and stupid. This is stupid. But that's what they're teaching your kids, and this is what they call jumps of 10. Now, they're hoping that eventually that these kids will be able to see this in their heads, and therefore they'll be able to do this automatically. No. No, 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 no. Nobody's going to visualize this. I would not visualize this. Even as a kid, I wouldn't have visualized this. This is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. But that's what they're teaching your kids. So if you're seeing a number line like this, this is called jumps of 10, and that's how it works. Anyway, wow. So, alright, I don't have any more to teach you at this point, so I'm going to cut it off from here. Hopefully now you know what the decompose method is, the splitting method is, and the jumps of 10 method is. Alright, so now when you see it, you'll know what they're talking about. Alright, I will tell you more in a future video, so I want you to stay tuned.